The temperature dropped instantly. My breath fogged in front of me, and I started to feel that pressure again, like something was pressing on the inside of my skull. Not pain, just density. Sooty, like my thoughts were trying to swim through syrup. The hallway stretched endlessly, but I walked. I didn't think. Thinking here seemed to trigger things. Memories, reactions, traps. After what felt like miles, I saw a figure at the far end, just standing, no movement, facing me, dressed like a technician. Gray suit, gloves, helmet covering the entire face. I stopped walking. It didn't move. I shouted, "Nothing." So, I walked toward it, slowly, one step at a time, heart pounding. The closer I got, the more the air shifted. It smelled like burnt wires and something older, like dry rot and formaldehyde. When I was 10 feet away, the figure raised its arm and pointed to the side. No words, just that slow, deliberate gesture. I turned. There it was. There was another door. This one was different. Smooth, seamless, and made of some kind of black glass. It shimmered faintly, like oil on water. The figure didn't move again. It just kept pointing. So I went through. And everything changed. No more corridors. No more servers. I was in a massive space, open, circular, and silent. Above me, stretching into the darkness, were rows and rows of human faces. Screens, all flickering slightly, each one watching me. Different people. Some looked scared, some calm. One or two looked just like me. And in the center of the room, a chair. Strapped to the arm of the chair was a headset, one of those old neural feedback models used in deep memory reconstruction labs. Illegal in most countries. Banned after the sleeping echo trials. A voice echoed from nowhere and everywhere at once. "Sit. You asked for the truth." And before I could say no, before I could run, the lights dimmed and the chair powered on. I didn't sit right away. Every part of me screamed to run, but I knew there was no door behind me anymore. I didn't need to turn around to check. It was gone. That's how this place worked. It didn't threaten. It just waited. Waited for you to give up the fight, piece by piece. I approached the chair slowly. The material didn't look like anything I'd seen before. Dark gray, slightly reflective, like it was absorbing the ambient light rather than reflecting it. The straps weren't made of leather or plastic. They pulsed faintly, like they had a heartbeat. The headset itself was the only thing that looked real. Old. Industrial. Wires tangled like veins. I'd seen models like that before, years ago, back when experimental tech was still unregulated. It wasn't made to extract memories. It was made to overwrite them, or worse, merge them. I sat. The straps locked around my wrists, chest, and ankles. Firm, but not painful. I didn't resist. The thing didn't need force. It needed permission. And I gave it. Maybe not in words, but I had stepped into the circle, hadn't I? The moment I crossed that glass threshold, it had already begun. The headset lowered, and I saw everything. Not in images, not like a video. It was like being dropped into someone else's heartbeat. I felt thoughts that weren't mine. Panic, doubt, obsession, Pride. Guilt so thick it could drown you. A memory of a corridor filled with smoke. A hand pulling a lever. A scream behind bulletproof glass. I saw a name. Dr. Emery Kale. And another. Project Root. The voice returned. Calm. Detached. You are now sensing with residual trace data from Subject 0. Retain separation. Retain identity. Do not absorb conflict. Too late. The moment I heard those words, I felt something click in my skull, like a puzzle piece sliding into place. Suddenly, I knew things I shouldn't. The layout of the hidden labs beneath the compound. The number of personnel who had gone missing. The real purpose of the server network, it wasn't storing data. It was storing people. People like me. The headset vibrated, hard, and the lights overhead strobed in sync with my pulse. My hands began to twitch. My eyes burned. Then, silence. I was back in the room, but it wasn't empty anymore. There were others. Maybe 8, maybe 10, standing in a wide circle around me. Faces pale, glassy-eyed, not quite blank, not quite alive. One of them was Eliza Reeve, the woman whose notebook I'd found. Her eyes locked on mine, and she mouthed something I couldn't hear. Behind her, I saw another screen flicker. It showed me, sitting in the chair. Only I wasn't moving. I wasn't breathing. The straps weren't holding me anymore. They were feeding something through me. The voice came again. You are host 47. Containment breached. Memory integrity compromised. System adapting. And then the floor cracked. Not exploded. Not split. Cracked. Like a spider web of fractures beneath glass. Only the glass was real, and the void beneath it was deeper than anything natural. Black, dark, infinite, shimmering like 1,000 static TVs, trying to tune into a dying signal. Everyone in the room turned to face me at once. Their mouths opened. No sound. Just light. Blinding. Raw. Pulsing light. Pouring out like liquid from their throats. Then, they stepped forward. Not walking. Gliding. Effortless. As if gravity meant nothing in that space. And me, I couldn't move. Up. The chair had merged with my spine. I was inside the system now. The last thing I saw before I blacked out was a single line of text burned into the inside of my eyelids. You cannot unremember what has remembered you. I don't know how long I was unconscious. Might have been seconds. Might have been days. Time didn't work the same way anymore. It unraveled the moment the chair touched my spine. Like the whole idea of cause and effect got wiped clean and rewritten in real time. When I opened my eyes, I wasn't in the room. I was somewhere else. Imagine a city built from memory. Not photographs, not blueprints, but pure, unstable memory. That's where I was. Streets that curved wrong. Buildings made of things that shouldn't belong together. Glass stitched with bone. Steel melting into wood. Skyscrapers with windows that blinked. And the sky. God. The sky. It wasn't blue. Oh, it wasn't gray. Watching. That's the only way I can describe it. Not with eyes. With presence. You looked up, and it felt like you were being seen by something so vast and old that the concept of sight didn't even apply anymore. I started walking because there was no other option. The city shifted around me. Roads changed direction when I wasn't looking. Streetlights hummed with voices, overlapping whispers saying things I didn't want to hear. He left us here. This isn't the first version. Tell me how it ends. My hands were shaking again, but not from fear, from something else. Static? No. Deeper. Like my nerves were running code. Like I wasn't entirely biological anymore. I looked down and saw faint circuitry patterns glowing beneath my skin, barely visible unless the light hit them just right. Then I saw her, Eliza Dot, again. But this time, she wasn't just standing still. She was running, and not away from something. Towards me. I shouted her name. She didn't react, just sprinted right past me, down an alley that hadn't been there 5 seconds earlier. So, I followed. The alley was long, endless, lined with mirrors, but not normal mirrors, delayed mirrors. They reflected what I'd just done, not what I was doing, every few seconds behind me, like a memory playback glitch. When I caught up to her, she stopped dead, turned, spoke. "You shouldn't be here." I froze. "What is this place? You know what it is. You built it." "No, this was here before me." No. Her voice sharpened. "You think you're just another test subject, Nathan? You think they picked you at random? Wake up. This is the copy. The original is gone, burned out when the first sync failed." My throat closed. "What the hell are you saying?" "I'm saying you died in that chair, Nathan. You're just what's left. The world glitched. Hard hero. Building spent. Screamed. The pavement beneath me turned to liquid. Thick. Like data sludge. My feet started sinking. And the sky, it opened. Just a little. I didn't see stars. I saw teeth. Then, I was somewhere else again. Sitting. My mouth. Breathing. But not in control. My hands were typing. A terminal I didn't recognize. Commands I didn't understand. And across from me, through a thick pane of one-way glass, I saw myself, hooked to another chair. Pale. Dial. Still. A voice came from the speaker above. Version 47. Initialized. Neural cohesion at 89%. This one's holding longer than expected. Another voice. Cold. Clinical. Don't get excited. They always break after root memory reactivation. I tried to scream. Couldn't. My mouth moved. But it wasn't me anymore. It was the system. Talking through me. "You keep making the same mistake." The glass cracked. A thin line from top to bottom. And I watched as the other me, the original maybe, opened its eyes. Slowly, painfully, and looked at me. Not like I was a stranger. Like I was a failure. Like I'd let him down. The lights went out. I woke up screaming, but was no sound. Just vibration, like my vocal cords were moving. But reality had been muted. The world around me wasn't the room, or the city, or the glass. It was white, infinite. A space so blank it hurt to look at. No edges, no shadows, just pressure. A weight on my chest like a silent panic attack, made physical. I stood up, slowly. There was no floor, but I wasn't falling. There was no light source, but everything was lit. This wasn't a place. It was a holding pattern, a buffer, like the system didn't know what to do with me next. Then a voice whispered directly into my skull, initiating, recall protocol, restoring event chain, and the world rebooted. Suddenly, I was standing in a hallway, cold metal floor, fluorescent lights flickering overhead. My clothes were damp, like I'd been sweating through them for hours. I recognized the space. It was from the memory earlier, one of the labs, but now it felt sharper, more solid, like I'd moved backward into a real past, or maybe the system was lying again. I walked. Each door I passed had a label, not names, not numbers, words, disassociation, mimetic contagion, recursive host, feedback gara, origin loop, classified. Every one of them whispered when I passed, not out loud, inside my head, like memories I never lived. I reached a door marked Project Root, Observation Deck. No hesitation. I pushed it open. Untold. Inside, darkness. Rows of chairs, all facing a single glass wall. Behind it, another chamber, surgical white, with a body on a table. Strapped down, IVs, monitors, exposed cranial ports with fiber threads running straight into the ceiling. I knew that body, even before it turned its head. Barely, painfully. To face me. It was me. Again. Only this time, older, gaunt. Deegan's dying. His lips moved. The sound was raw, broken, like a voice unused for years. You have to stop this. I stepped closer. What is this? Who are you? I'm what's left of the original consciousness. The first pass. They kept reloading versions every time one broke. But the deeper the sink, the more fragmented it got. Your iteration 47. I felt my knees weaken. But I remember everything. No, he said. You remember what they let you. Silence fell between us. Then, naughty. The project wasn't just about memory. It was about containment. There's something in the data, an anomaly, a pattern that became self-aware. It infected the early systems, then the staff. It doesn't want to escape. It wants to rewrite the definition of escape. My throat tightened. You mean, it's alive? No. Worse. It's aware. The lights flickered. He flinched. Oh, it hears us when we talk about it, he said quickly. It lives in references, indirect paths, abstracted code. The more we conceptualize it, the more real it becomes. That's why the mirror corridors, the glitch streets, the recursive faces, it's feeding off our perception of itself. I felt cold flood through my gut. And what am I then? Just another failed version. He shook his head, weakly. No. You're the last one that might still be able to forget it. I stepped back. That's when the room began to shift. Not dissolve. Transform. The observation deck stretched, folding in on itself like origami. The ceiling bent downward. The glass bent inward. The older version of me began to convulse. No! Don't look at it! He screamed. Too late. I turned. In the far corner of the chamber, something was forming. Slowly. Elegantly. As if drawn in real time by a hand that didn't understand physics but understood fear. No face. No body. Just... If that story found a place in your mind, imagine what the next one will do.